just see who jumps on. I've got a few things to talk about today, a few events that I've been working on and what's come from that. We've been doing a self-series of enlightenment, and in that series are different aspects of ourselves of previous lifetimes, where we've been, what we've been doing, and one of them was connecting with our older selves and going back into that lifetime and connecting with those skills and the wisdom we knew and the knowledge and the lifestyle we had to be able to bring it forward to live in communities and high dimensional new earth. So the first one was gypsies, and we connected with the gypsies on a very high level. They told me the history of the real gypsy lifestyle and how they came about. The original gypsies, the true, I'm talking true gypsies of the past, of their history and all that kind of thing, came from India. And they travelled out of India across all the different lands. They came into Europe, and from Europe they went Eastern Europe out into places like Portugal, Spain, Greece, Italy, places like that. And so when we went in to do these meditations and past life experiences to discover more about ourselves, we came across different aspects of the gypsy lifestyle and where they were based and what they gave in the way of that area. And it's really interesting because the gypsy came into a new area. So they came down from India, they crossbred as they came down. So that's how you get the darker gypsies and the lighter gypsies, because as they came down in through Europe, they blended with other ethnic groups, but they brought the culture, they brought the religion, they brought the culture, and they brought the style of living. And that is why when you go through parts of Europe, you have different culture, and that's thanks to the gypsy lifestyle and what they brought through. So it's really interesting how we connected with the gypsies, what kind of lifestyles we had, what is it that we're going to bring back with us to this lifetime to be able to understand our gypsy lifestyle and bring it into simplicity, the way we're going to be living, the way they did. So they came from India, and then there was the Spanish, German and South American main gypsies. The South American gypsies are a little bit different. Culturally, they are different. They're more shaman cross gypsy, whereas the ones that came through from India into Europe and then interbred in Europe and then came more ethnic as they moved through, they became the Spanish, the Italian, the German, the Turkish, the Polish, and so forth. And one of the messages I got, the Waltzing Matilda song for Australia isn't about a girl called Matilda. It's about a gypsy, and she was the Waltzing Matilda gypsy, and she met the swag man. And they went down to the Billabong, which was the open fire in the gypsy village. And that's why they sang The Gypsy Rover Came Over the Hill. That is from the Seekers, the band The Seekers. And so the gypsies were very well known in the outback and through Australia in the early days. That's how Waltzing Matilda came. Not all gypsies wore headbands and scarves. Some wore bonnets, and that's why you see back then a lot of the gypsy lifestyle living out on the land in the little villages and little campsites. Some of them had, you know, scarves or bandanas or whatever. Some wore the old-fashioned bonnets. The gypsies were known as the European florists. They were the very first florists that we sort of know of in history. So what happened was that they used to pick all the wild flowers, all the plant medicine, and they used to dry it And in their little caravans and wagons that they had a lot of drying plants. That's how they dried them. They dried them over the fires, and then they took them to market to sell. And that was a sort of a form of income for them, and being able to have abundantly around them the wildflowers and plants that they used. So the original gypsies were well known for floristry and doing floral art. They were also the great mystics. So you get the old theory of the round crystal ball, and you get the healers that use the plant-based medicine. And a lot of people from outer villages used to come to the gypsy campsites and get their medicine. And they used to go to the gypsies for advice and healing. Their souls were made up of music, creative dance, art, creating lifestyle, plant medicine, and foraging. So they were very happy-go-lucky people. They lived on simplicity, which is what we're going back to in New Earth. So they were always clapping and dancing around the campfire and playing, you know, the violin and all those sort of old-fashioned sort of music instruments. And then they were creating as well. They always had bright colours, painted caravans with flowers and daisies. And they were the true flower power people. And they had the plant medicine. They just had a very creative lifestyle, the way they lived. They were the true agriculture type of people that kept their animals and didn't slaughter them. They didn't eat a lot of the animals. They used them for service, for helping in the fields, that kind of thing. They mostly ate berries and plant medicine and vegetables. It was a very rare occasion that they ate meat. They were very proud of it too. Extremely proud of it, how they treated their animals. They always had lots of beautiful animals around them. They lived a little bit like the Amish, but not 100%. I also got Stevie Nicks was a gypsy in a past life. I don't know why I got told that, but you can see it in it. And she sings about a gypsy. So I am the gypsy or whatever. So Stevie Nicks was a gypsy. She's also a witch. So they were very loud in colour, dance, art, music, vibrant and happy people. They very rarely got sick. They didn't actually get sickness like we would have sickness. Even though they lived in confined quarters and small campsites, they were very healthy. They were originally the homeless people. They were considered the homeless people. So not like the homeless people we see out on the streets today. The gypsies were considered the original homeless. That's what homelessness is. Not having a house. Homelessness is not being out living on the street. Homelessness is not being in a house. They had a caravan and horse. They travelled to find a home base life. They were the original fire dancers. And they brought the they brought that culture to Europe. The Spanish people, you know, they do the flamingo. Well, that came from the gypsy culture. And anything that's been of cultural brightness and vibrancy was from the first gypsies. They brought that in, and that's where the flamingo originally came from, was the gypsies. I channeled for this activation Florence, and she was a big busted puffy blouse, low cut puffy blouse, sort of like the barmaid type, big long black curly hair, ring earrings, scarf, you know, true gypsy looking lady called Florence. And she said she represents freedom. She was amazing. She was so lovely, and she was so welcoming. When we went, she took us to her campsite where we connected with many other gypsies. So I will read you some of the channeling she gave me. Hello, beings of light and rainbow sisters of the New Earth Council. So the group that I belong to, the Rainbow Sisters, which we've discovered through meditation and channelings, we are also on the new, every one of us is on the New Earth Council, multidimensionally. We're excited to meet with you and join in celebrating the new earth with you all. We are the true freedom fighters, the true vagabonds of earth. We come to explore and to give culture to each country we travel to. So as I said, every country they went to, they brought the culture. They created the culture. Many of you are our brothers and sisters. Today we activate the memory and gifts of the Gypsy within you. You travelled on unknown roads that led you to freedom and happiness. It is time to do that again. To spend time with us and that magic as we carry within us. Mystical ways of the Gypsy will reignite today as you become the way you were. Mystical, magic and mysterious. They were very mysterious. They kept a lot of what they knew to themselves. And the good thing about it was, as we went into this, I've got the meditation recorded. I've got the activation typed up if you want these. You're very welcome to them. I mean, totally for you to use, to create your own space and time to do this activation and to discover a different aspect of yourself. So the activation is hand on heart. Envision the life of the Gypsy, the campfire smoke, the noise of the animals and the whistling of our people. So their light language was the whistling, and the true whistling came from the Gypsies. You used to know the Gypsies were coming, you could hear them whistling, and their tunes were beautiful. Now, we never hear whistling anymore like we did in the 60s and the 70s. In the weekend, when you were outside and your fathers were mowing the lawns and your brothers were out hiking, going off, getting fishing and climbing the hills and things, you heard your grandfathers, your fathers, your uncles always whistling to a tune, to a beat, and they were beautiful. And you used to hear it around the street in the weekends, growing up in the 60s and 70s. And it was a healing vibration. A lot of the men that went to war learnt to whistle as they marched. And it is a healing vibration of the whistle. And, oh, pardon me, we never hear them anymore. We never ever hear the whistling. The whistling is coming back as a frequency to New Earth and as a form of light language. And this is what she said. You know, they carried on in their life, and the whistling of the people. So she's talking about herself here. She says, I once was a Gypsy that was mystical, magic and mysterious. And you're saying it about yourself as well, because we're activating that within us. I was creative and had flair of colour and freedom. So you were free to express, basically. I was a healer that respected and appreciated Mother Earth. So we all were healers, and we used our plant medicine to heal ourselves and to heal others. I asked the source, creator, the Father God, to reactivate the Gypsy spirit within me, to be freedom, magical, mystical and mysterious, to be the creator, to be the healer. Bring back my dance, song and simple ways, to be a Gypsy once again of true happiness and abundance. And the activation is a whistle. It's light language whistle, and it's that frequency, and it comes through So I've got it here if you want it, that whole activation and those words from Florence, because it activates that part of you, and you're doing a process to get to New Earth. You're activating processes of yourself and parts of yourself. It's not about just being a specialist in this area and this area. It's about oneness, the whole being of who you are and what you are, and rediscovering it. And we've done the series. The second series is Medicine Woman. So you were the medicine woman within you. And then we've done the Bindu activation at the back of your head, which is the 8th chakra of the 8th dimension. We've also going to be doing next week the goddess within. And it's not about being a goddess, it's what makes you a goddess. So in my meditation, I met with Florence, and she said, you Rainbow Sisters are bringing this back, this whole energy of the frequency of the Gypsy. You were the creators of New Earth the way it once was. And she had a crystal ball. It was I went into her caravan, which was yellow, and you had a choice of which caravan you went to, because that represented the stage that you were at in your ascension and your activation. And the crystal ball was pretty round. It was pretty big, and it was full of rainbows. It was white quartz, clear quartz with rainbows in it. She told me I was a florist once, and I've always wanted to be a florist. Funny that I even applied for a role at a florist shop and asked her would she be prepared to train me. She said, you were once a florist in France. I was a French gypsy, working with flowers in a store and shop. And she showed me. She said my name was Juniper, and that is like the juniper berry. She said you were a French gypsy called Juniper, like the berry, and I came from a long bloodline of French gypsies. We lived off the trout, the salmon, and the berries. So all the freshwater fish and the berries and the fruit. And the wild vegetables. No hybrid food. She said there was no hybrid food back then at all. And I played the flute, and funny enough, I've got a flute. When I was in Canada, and I was traveling, 23 was it? 2023 or 2022, and I brought a wooden flute. And I used to play the recorder at school, and I've always loved the flute. And I brought a wooden flute. It's the second wooden flute, actually, that I've owned. And she said, you were a flute player. And after the meditation, I showed everyone on the Zoom call. I said, look, I've got a flute. She reminded me, you've got a wooden flute. I kept it. The wooden flute brings back that frequency of the whistle. So if you play the wooden flute, it activates the whistle within to bring in that light language of the gypsy. The French gypsies were the true cheese makers and yogurt makers. So we made the cream cheeses and the yogurt. And it's interesting because if you think about it, the French yogurt is better quality than anywhere else, I find. It's very creamy. And same with the cheese. The French cheeses are beautiful. I know people will argue over that and come at me, but I can tell you, after being in France, I do know the difference, and you do notice the difference. And they showed me standing over this big kind of wooden barrel, and I was tuning the curd. So a lot of gypsies are returning back and creating the tiny house movement and wanting to live that way. So the old gypsy within you, which is now back on earth in this lifetime, is creating the tiny house movement, getting back into the tiny houses and living in that kind of community. And that so made sense to me when I connected to that. I went, oh yeah, that's so true. That's what we're doing. We're creating these tiny house communities now. So yeah, that was the gypsy that I wanted to give an update about, and who they are and what they are telling us that they are, and who we are as gypsies, where we came from, our inner knowledge, our inner wisdom coming through our mystical, mysterious gypsy ways to be able to create the simple lifestyles again, abundantly happy with everything that's provided from Mother Gaia, and live free, live sovereign. So I'll do them all in different sections. So at the moment, that's the gypsy and how the gypsy looks. Let me know if you want the activation, if you want the recorded meditation. So they are all available to you for the gypsy. And so what I'll do is I'll put that together in a package, and if you want it, just yell out and I can send it to you, because it's important work to be doing now to getting to that point. So that's the gypsy within us. And as you'll see, a lot of people are starting to go back to the land, to the smaller lifestyle blocks, and wanting to live that way and live off the grid. And that's that gypsy energy coming in, and then we'll get the light language coming with the whistle and all that kind of thing. So that's probably it. I'll kind of finish here. I do want to do the next one in the series Medicine Woman, but I'll make it was some fun meditation, wasn't it? Yeah, it was really, really good. And you know, the interesting thing about it was the simplicity of it all. Going back and being in that village, and as I said, I was a French gypsy. It was just so beautiful. The land, the smell, you could smell it, you could hear the sounds, you felt really, I know I felt really connected to it. I was leaving, Florence gave me a sunflower. She said, "This is for you, sunflowers." And her whole caravan, the yellow caravan that I went into, was just full of flowers. She was a florist too. And she gave me the sunflower. And I love sunflowers. And it was funny because that particular day, I had looked at my garden and thought, oh, I've got to get my sunflower seedlings going for summer again. So I'm connected to that sunflower energy as well. I will come on later, either tonight or tomorrow, and I'll continue with the Medicine Woman, and then I'm trying to do a series so that I can get them up on YouTube, and then I'll do the Bindu chakra, and then of course on Monday, which we haven't done yet, is the Goddess Within, and they'll be in a group setting on one of my YouTube packs, and you can go there and just select them and then do the activation. But you need to get the light language from me, so when you get the activation and the meditation from me, you can do them together. I will finish here, but I just wanted to do that, and then I can update you as we go through this series, because it's been magnificent, and we've just discovered so much about ourselves, who we are, where we're going, how this is all going to work for us and our knowledge and for our service. You know, we're going to be in such a great service capacity in New Earth. It's not about receiving lots of money and charging for your services, because that's not abundance. That's not natural abundance. Natural abundance is trusting in what you're doing and giving in service of God, and then receiving back naturally. And I see all these light workers out there, and they're charging for all their services and that, and I said, yeah, I think, oh yeah, you do have to survive and live, but you're charging ridiculous prices. There's no need to be charging hundreds of dollars for a session with you. And yeah, you might have the experience, but have you done the groundwork? Have you done the layers like we are? We're doing, as a rainbow group, we're doing the layers. We're going through the layers, and really working on who we are and what we know about ourselves, and bringing all that generational information, the good stuff, healing the old wounded stuff, and bringing in the clean new stuff from New Earth that we have forgotten about. So it all comes down to trust, people. Trust that you're on the right road. Trust that you're in the right service. Trust your gifts and talents. I don't trust people that charge big amounts. I don't go to them. I won't have any connection with them whatsoever, because they're still not in the right frequency dimensionally, because they shouldn't be doing that. It's not right. It's not right at all. The disciples, Jesus, the ascended masters never charged. They lived off trust. And if you live in that frequency, it all comes together naturally. You have no fear, because it all comes together. That vibration all comes together naturally. I only charge for my one-on-ones, and it's a service fee. And I always say, they say, how much do you charge for an hour or half an hour? I go, don't worry about it. Just make it a donation. Because as soon as you start giving out a number or a sum, you're not trusting. You're not giving the trust back to the Creator who created you in the first place. All right, guys, take care. Much love to you all. Have a beautiful day, evening, wherever you are. Recorded meditation, and you want the activation, which I've typed up, you're more than welcome to ask for it, and I will send it to you via email. Bye for now.